What's happening, everyone? Steve here, Cars with Steve, and today I'm going to show you everything you need to know about Sync3 inside of the 2021 Ford Escape. Going to be covering off how to set up Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, using factory navigation, driver assistance settings, and everything in between. If you enjoyed the content, give it a thumbs up, think about subscribing, but let's dive into it, have a little bit of fun, and see what that Sync3 media screen has to offer. All right, next up, let's cover off this Sync3 media screen. So this is going to be standard inside of the SE, the SEL, and the titanium trim level of the vehicle. Now, depending on the trim level of the vehicle you're looking at, you may or may not have factory navigation. In the titanium, it's going to be standard. In the lower trim levels, it's available as an option. But if you don't have factory navigation, don't worry about it, because we do have the option of using Android Auto and Apple CarPlay inside of the vehicle, which means that we can use things like Google Maps, Apple Maps, and Waze inside of the vehicle, which I think is an awesome ability. So very, very simple to set that one up. We'll cover that off in just a second. But if your vehicle has factory navigation, this is the way it's going to look. We've got the basics of our map. We can figure out what's going on with our audio. We can add a phone in. If our phone is connected, it would show up there as well. Moving into our audio tab, we can change between different sources, so AM, FM, Sirius XM. If your phone was connected, if you had a USB stick with MP3s on there, all of those different entertainment sources would show up. So we've got our entertainment source there. We can do a direct tune if we'd like to. We've got a tuning rocker right there that we can use that instead. We can just type in. Honestly, we can manually type that way. We can use the rocker, but your best bet is just to use the voice command prompt on the steering wheel. So by pressing that button, we've got the option of changing it out, changing the station out if we'd like to. But we've got our station there. If you want to save it in, all you're going to do is press and hold any of the available spots. Preset is now saved. It's really that simple. Now, while we're at it, let's actually do a quick audio test. So let's crank this thing up a little bit. So good, so good. Now, this is the upgraded Bang & Olufsen sound system that's going to be standard inside of the titanium trim level of the vehicle. So it's not going to sound like that if you get into the S, so the base model of the vehicle. So it is going to be a titanium trim level exclusive. Now, setting up a phone is a very straightforward process. Literally, all we're going to do is make sure that on our phone, our Bluetooth is turned on, and we're just going to hit Add Phone on that screen.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
Okay, now on our phone, we're just going to wait for Escape to show up. Okay, there you go. As you can see, Escape is now there, so we're just going to press that.
Confirm that the pin displayed on Sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
All right, so we just want to make sure that those numbers match up, and in this case they do, so we're going to hit Pair and then Yes.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Perfect. And then on the actual phone itself, we're just going to allow contacts and favorites to sync. All right, now, as you can see there, we've got a few other options. So what we're going to do is make sure we turn 911 Assist on. And the big reason why is because with 911 Assist on, if the vehicle senses a collision, it's actively going to dial 911 for us and talk with the operator. Automatic contact download, yeah, we're connecting our phone. We want to make sure that our contacts will download to the vehicle. Perfect, so my cell phone is now connected, and as you can see there, we've got my recent calls, contacts, we've got my phone, and a number of other things. Now, if we ever need to remove a phone, we go into our settings, and let's go to our phone there. So we press phone, we can view devices, look at a number of other things. When we click in, we can either disconnect, or we can completely remove the device if we really want to. But jumping into our phone again there, as you can see, phone is connected. We jump into our home screen, phone is connected there. Jump into our audio, look at our sources. We've got LiveX Live, which is a radio app, or we can jump into my iPhone instead. So we've got a few different options that are available there. All right, now setting up Android Auto and Apple CarPlay is a very straightforward process. First step is just to take a USB cable, and we're just going to plug it into the available USB port, just right at the front of the vehicle there. We're just going to take the opposite end, and we're just going to plug it into our phone. And we're going to give that just a second. Okay, Apple CarPlay lets you use your phone in a way. We're just going to continue there, and we're just going to agree on the screen. Perfect, and as you can see there, we're fully connected. Now on my phone, it's asking me, do I want to allow my favorites to, CarPlay to work while my phone is locked? Yes, we want to make sure we do that. And as you can see, the phone is now fully connected to the vehicle. We've got my phone, we've got my maps, messages, and a number of other things. Now what's one of the cool things? We can use Apple Maps, we can use Google Maps or Waze directly through this middle screen. So we don't have to worry about the factory navigation because we've got the flexibility of using one of these map applications instead. Now, one of the nice things about the Apple side of things is that we do have the option of syncing up and changing what's going on with CarPlay. So we go to customize. So actually, let me step back a couple. So what we're going to do is on our phone, we're going to go to general settings. We're going to go to CarPlay. We're going to click on the vehicle, customize, and we can now just drag and drop in order to be able to customize the tray. So if you have a tendency to maybe listen to your audiobooks and podcasts more, we've got that flexibility. We can also reset it back to our factory default again. If we've played around with it a little bit too much, it brings us right back up to our default setting. Hop back onto the inside there, and as you can see, we're now back to our factory defaults. But we've got a ton of different options and a lot of flexibility. Jumping back home, we can go back to our forward home screen instead. We can jump back into CarPlay if we go up or down. We can look at our CarPlay preferences where we can remove my phone, or we can toggle CarPlay off. Now that's useful because we're back to factory navigation, but my phone is still plugged in and charging up. So you've got a lot of flexibility there when it comes down to it. Right now, setting up an Android device is literally the exact same process. So what we're going to do, my iPhone's still connected, so we jump back home. We're just going to jump into settings for a second and click on phone. We can view devices, and then as you can see there, we've got my currently connected iPhone. We can also add in a Bluetooth device.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
So we're just going to toggle our Bluetooth on our phone, and as you can see there, escape has shown up. So we're just going to click on.
Confirm that the pin displayed on Sync matches the pin displayed on your device.
Okay, and in this case, the pins do match up, so we're going to hit OK on the phone and yes on the screen.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Okay, so we are now connected there. On my phone, it's asking me, do I want access to my messages? Yes, we've selected that. And because I've already set up the iPhone, if you don't have more than one phone connected, this is not going to show up. But if you do, you can select one as a favorite. Finish, and as you can see there, we are now fully connected, and it's also asked me, do I want to allow access to my contacts? So yes, and as you can see, we're now fully connected. We jump into the phone and we're now connected to the Galaxy instead. So really neat because we can have multiple phones connected to the vehicle if we want to. So as you can see there, we're connected to a few different devices, and then we can hop in order to set one as the favorite. But we do have the option of setting up Android Auto as well. And very similar to the Apple side of things, it's very straightforward. We're just going to take our USB cable and plug that into any of the available USB ports. From there, we're going to take the opposite end of the cable, and we're just going to plug our phone in, and we're going to give it a second there. 3, 2, and Android Auto would like to extend the platform, so we're going to hit continue, and we're going to agree. Now on my phone, I'm just going to hit next, and in just a second there, it's going to connect. 3, 2, 1, and we are fully connected. Look at this. All right, so we're fully connected there. I've got Google Maps rocking it. And as you can see, we've got my phone, we've got my podcast, we've got my messages, and a number of other things. Now, if we ever need to, we can click on that forward button in order to bring us back to the home screen again, jump back into Android Auto, and then as you can see along the bottom, we've got our notifications as well as our Google Assistant. Now, very similar to the Apple side of things, we do have the option of customizing this thing a little bit. So if you search for Android Auto on your phone, so you can see there, we've got our settings, so we're just going to click on. And as you can see there, we've got my car that we're currently connected to. We can customize the launcher if we want to. So very similar to what we saw on the Apple side. All we're just going to do is drag and drop. Now, one thing to note, we do need to restart Android Auto in order for those changes to come into effect, but we do have the option of customizing the launcher if we want to. We've got our Google detection, our Google Assistant. We can turn the weather on or off, and a number of other things. So we do have quite a little bit of flexibility. Now, if we ever do need to delete a phone from the vehicle, it's very straightforward to do that. We jump back to the home screen. Now, from there, we also still do have Android Auto set up, so we can click on that, and we can disable it temporarily. And as you can see, Android Auto is now gone. And we jump inside of our phones. We can view devices. We've got the Galaxy that we've just connected. We can disconnect it, we can make it a favorite, or we can completely remove it. So a few seconds in, 3, 2, 1, and we are now fully disconnected, and it's that easy setting up Android Auto and Apple CarPlay inside of these vehicles. All right, now that's going to be the basics of adding in a phone. Now looking at navigation, we do have factory navigation, which we can easily search for an address. We just hit search, and we can click in, so we go through, typing in an address, and it is predictive, so you just stop typing for a second and give it a sec, and then as you can see, addresses start to pop up, and we click, and we can save it as a favorite if we want to. So it's going to save it as a favorite for a second, and watch what happens. 3, 2, 1, and we've got it now saved. Now, one of the nice things is that we can use the voice command prompt in order to navigate to our home or our work address, but if we actually click on a save favorite, we're going to dive in, we can click on edit, and when we do that, we can change the name and a few other things. So we can set a name so that when we press that voice command button, we can say navigate to this person's house instead, and it would do that for us. So it's really great from that perspective. But moving back there, as you can see, we haven't set an address as of yet, so we hit search, we look at favorites, which we've already saved in this address, and we can navigate.
Obey traffic laws, be alert, and use voice commands while driving.
All right.
Please proceed to the highlighted route, and then the route guidance will start.
We've got the route going. It's not too far out because it's the dealership address here. We can mute out the voice if we want to, and then just along the very top, we can X in order to be able to cancel the route as well. Now, one of the nice things is that when we've got a route going, it actually will show up inside of that heads-up display, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Now, when we move inside of our menu, we've also got our screen view, traffic list, and we've got some navigation settings. So our map preferences, we've got a few different options there. We've got our breadcrumbs, our point of interest icons, and a few other things. Route preferences, do we want the fastest, shortest, or the most eco-friendly route? Do we want to use the HOV lanes? Do we want to avoid freeways, toll roads, tunnels, things like that? Navigation preferences, when our voice command prompts come up, do we want to have the voice and the prompt? Do we want to have just the voice, or do we just want to have the prompt, so that tone that we get with an upcoming turn? And that's going to be the basics of our navigation there. We've got our favorites, point of interest, and then our home and our work address as well. Looking at our apps, so certain apps will work directly through this middle screen. We might actually have to be connected through USB for certain ones to work through on the Android side of things. So not every app will work over Bluetooth. You will have to be connected for some of them as well. And even on the Android Auto side of things, not every app will work inside of Android Auto. You might actually have to go through this route in order to be able to find apps that will work as well. Jumping into our settings, we've got our sound, so we can change out the treble, mid-range, bass, balance, sport mode, a few other things. We've also got our clock. So with our clock, we can change between a few different things. So we can change our hours, minutes, AM, PM. We've got our 24-hour mode. We can get the vehicle to automatically determine what the time should be based off of daylight savings time or GPS, etc. Moving back, we've got our Bluetooth, which we can toggle on or off. We can view connected devices, which, if we jump back into connected devices for a second, we've got my phone, which we can easily disconnect, or we can easily connect to again. So we press that, and we can connect it, or we can completely remove. In a few seconds, it should pop back up, and we are now fully connected to that phone again. Moving back, we've got my phone, we've got radio. So as you can see there, we've got the HD radio, we've got our radio text, as well as the preset pages. Preset pages, always recommend just go to the max pages, so 6 pages there. And the big reason why, we jump back home and we've got 6 pages, so 30 presets total. And that's a mix of AM, FM, Sirius XM, etc. Now, if we change that out to, let's actually go back to our audio for a second, and we go to Sirius XM for a second, watch what happens now. Our button is now Sirius XM, so we can set out different categories, we can tune things out, we can lock different channels out as well. So if you're a heavy Sirius XM user, knowing that you've got that capability and flexibility to change a number of things out by changing it out to that radio instead. Driver assistance, we've got a lot of advanced settings here. Starting off along the very top, we've got our cruise control, which is adaptive, either normal, adaptive, or the intelligent. The normal is exactly that, so it's just your regular cruise control. Adaptive is your set it and forget it cruise. So you set it at 100 on the highway, car in front of you slows down, yours is automatically going to brake. If they pick up speed or get out of the way, yours will automatically pick you back up to your set speed again. Intelligent takes the adaptive to the next level, and it's all based off of this tolerance level. Because let's say you set it at a tolerance of 0. So if you've got your speed set for, I don't know, 60 kilometers an hour, and it drops down from 60 to 50, and it recognizes it through speed sign recognition, it's automatically going to slow the vehicle down. So it's very, very smart from that perspective. Our lane keeping system works 3 different ways. We've got either the lane centering mode. So we've got the alert, which is actually going to give us a little bit of a steering wheel shake if we start to veer over without signaling. We've got the aid, which is actually going to recenter us and kind of bump us back into our lane. And the alert and the aid will do both. So we'll get a little bit of a steering wheel shake, and it'll bump us back into our lane as well. Moving back, the intensity of the aid itself, or the shake I should say, is it a high normal or a low shake? Moving back, we've got our pre-collision assist, so a few different things there. We've got our active braking, so if the vehicle, if it recognizes a potential collision, it's automatically going to brake for us. Speed sign recognition, we've got a few different options there. So we've got a speed warning, so if we're going a little bit too fast, we're getting a little bit of a chime. Our rear view camera, delayed, yes or no. Our blind spot system, if we turn that one on or off, it's actually going to highlight orange, so we can just kind of make it out there. So it lets us know if anybody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. So it's really, really useful. So I do recommend keeping that one turned on, and a big reason why is because it's a non-obtrusive light. Like, it's not like it's going to beep at us or anything like that. Cross traffic alert, if you're backing up and the vehicle senses somebody coming perpendicular, it's going to let you know of a potential collision. Driver alert, are you getting too many warnings? You should probably take a break. Moving into our vehicle settings now, we've got a few different things. So we've got our 30-minute idle. Rear occupant alert is kind of a neat one. So watch what happens when I turn the vehicle off. Okay, so this is the rear occupant alert. More or less just lets you know to check the back seat to make sure you didn't forget anybody back there. So I think it is a very useful feature, but you've got the option of turning it off if you wanted to. Moving down, we've got our easy entry exit, which what's going to happen is it's going to work for our seat adjustment. So if we go to exit the vehicle, it's actually going to lower the seat down, I should say, in order to make sure that we can easily get in and out of the vehicle. Now, a few other things to point out. We've got our My Key. So the My Key setting is going to give us the option of setting up certain limitations for individual key fob, which is kind of a neat setting. So let's say if you're lending the vehicle out to somebody, you can set it up so that they can't go faster than 100 kilometers an hour. So it's kind of a neat setting there. Remote start setup, we've got a few different options there. So on the actual fob, we've got the option of remote starting, or we can remote start through our cell phone using the FordPass app, and that's on the Android and the iPhone side of things. But when we go to remote start, what happens? Climate, is it going to be based on auto, let the vehicle determine the temperature, or is it going to be based off of your last settings? Our seats and duration there, or sorry, seats and steering wheel, I should say. Our heated seats and the heated steering wheel, will those come on, yes or no? And the duration of the start, 5, 10, or 15 minutes. Moving back, we've also got ambient light, so we've got a few different options when it comes down to the brightness. Unfortunately, we don't have the flexibility of changing out the actual color, but we can adjust how bright the ambient light is. Moving down, we've got our wipers, so the courtesy wipe. If we've got our windshield wipers going and we stop, and with the windshield wipers stop, it's actually going to go one more time to get rid of any excess liquid. Our rain sensing wipers, so those come on, yes or no. And then the rain sensing wipers, make sure you turn those ones off if you're going into a car wash. So definitely useful there. And then our rear wiper on. So when we're actually in reverse, if we've got our front wipers going, it's automatically going to turn the back wiper on for us as well. So very useful setting there. We've got our power liftgate, so we can enable or disable the switch on the outside. Easy entry exit, which we've already been through. 1 second, it brought us back up. All right, here we go. This is what I'm looking for. We've got our wipers, which we've already done. Power liftgate, lighting, that's what I'm looking for. All right, so we've got our auto high beams. So the vehicle is equipped with auto high beams, which means that if it senses an oncoming vehicle, it's going to dim your high beams for you. And this is a neat one because if it's too dark out, it's automatically going to turn them on. If it senses an oncoming vehicle, it's going to dim them before turning them off and then turning them back on again. And then our auto lamp delay, when we go to lock, how long do those lights stay on for? Locks for the vehicle, auto unlock, we've got a few other things there. One of the neat ones is actually this mist lock chirp. So if you go to lock the vehicle and you don't have all the doors shut properly, you're going to get a chirp letting you know about that. When we go to unlock the vehicle, do all doors become unlocked, or is it just the driver's side door? Your preference there. And then we've also got our intelligent access as well. Moving down a tiny little bit more, we've also got our door keypad code, which we've got a 5-digit number that's going to be from the factory in order to be able to get inside of the vehicle without the fob, or we can set up a unique one for us as well. We can actually set up as many as we'd like to, which is kind of a neat thing, but there always is going to be that 5-digit factory one that's going to be standard. Moving back, we've got FordPass Connect. So the vehicle itself is equipped with an onboard modem, and we do have the flexibility of adding it in so we can connect up to 10 devices to the vehicle, which is useful if you've got kids with a number of devices. They can kind of go on the road as we go. Now, one thing to note, you do need to have a data-only plan through your cell phone provider in order to be able to get that feature, though. Moving back, we've got some general settings, so a lot of options there. English, Spanish, French, Celsius, kilometers and liters per 100, miles per gallon. 2 different options there. We can toggle that touchscreen beep on or off if we'd like to. And then we can also do a master reset. So if we're selling the vehicle, we can just bring it back to our factory default instead. Moving back, we've got our Wi-Fi and automatic updates, which I make sure that you turn these ones on in conjunction with one another. And the big reason why is because if the vehicle senses an update that's available, if you have auto updates turned on and you're connected to Wi-Fi at home, it'll automatically update the vehicle for you. 911 assist, definitely want to make sure we turn this one on. Mobile apps. So certain apps will work over USB, so we can enable mobile apps, enable them via USB as well. So certain ones, like I said, on the Android side of things specifically, you do have to be physically connected in order for those apps to work. Android Auto, we can remove the phone. When we do, it deletes it. Same thing on Apple CarPlay. We remove the phone and it deletes it. But one of the nice things is that when we go to plug the phone back in, those settings will come back up again. We've got our display. So as nice as this display is, we can lock it out if we want to, so we can turn it off. Or if we want to, we can go to a calming screen instead. Bring that back to life again. Moving back into our settings, we've got the brightness, and we can also adjust the mode. So we can switch between a daytime, nighttime mode, etc. Voice control, we've got an advanced mode, which means we won't get as many notifications. So if we go to change the radio station using our voice, 94.9. Okay, it didn't give us any notification, but if we jump back to the home screen, it has changed that station out for us. So really, really smart from that perspective. We've got some pretty neat controls there as well. Now, we do have a lot of flexibility. So if we look at our voice command list, this is the actual list itself. So whether or not that shows up is going to be a matter of preference. And then we've got our phone confirmation as well. Valet mode, we do have the option of locking the screen out using a 4-digit combination, and that's useful if we're valet parking or just for general security as well. And lastly, we've got our navigation settings, which we've already covered off, and that's going to be the basics of that Sync3 screen. So it is a pretty cool screen, and I can't wait until we get a future generation that does support wireless Android Auto Apple CarPlay. Hopefully we see that in the next year or two. But if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and until I see you next time, make sure you stay safe.